Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Thursday, January 22nd. We're going to take a look at the market the way we usually do, and then we'll look at some of the global indices, and then check in on the solar stocks and see how they're doing these days. All right, let's, don't need to start off with the solar. Let's go back to the Dow Industrials. The Dow was up almost 260 points today. Big move, and of course, the ECB announced all of this bond buying and big injection of money. So, you know, it's deja vu all over again for quantitative easing in Europe, and they're going to say that only because, you know, we've had a couple of instances of that here in the United States, or actually three, I guess, QE sessions. So now the Europeans are doing it. So we'll see what happens. Take a look at the market here. I still am working this this wave count here as if it's to the downside. You know, this 1, 2, you know, possibly working a 3. You know, this big strong move, and then we'll look at a couple of the other indices, makes me wonder whether this alternate count is in play, and whether this is, you know, 1, 2, and this is a little I1, minute wave 1 to the upside, whether we're working a wave count to the upside and we're getting ready to go higher. And again, I think it's still, the jury's out on this, and this is S&P 500 is a very similar scenario that you got in here. Now, we're getting 2 closes above the 10, okay? Now, whenever I've seen 2 closes above the 10 and you break the high, you know, a lot of times that means that, you know, a new move is underway, okay? Now, you know, we got a big bar here today, so makes me a little bit nervous about that, but, you know, you got the same thing back in here, and I've talked about this before. Nasdaq, same thing. We've now got 2 closes above the 10. I mean, we could very well be, you know, breaking out to a new move to the high side, and, you know, getting through all of this indecision, uncertainty, etc. And you can't rule that out. I mean, the New York Composite, I'm still looking at a wave count because the this wave, get rid of this. This wave never went to a higher high, so this looked like a 5 wave down, 1, pull back 2, working a 1, 2, working a 3 to the downside with 1 and an ABC. This could be an ABC that still reverses itself, but the way we're closing above this 10, and, you know, now this is the 4th close in a row for the New York Composite. I mean, it's, remember how I mentioned on Saturday that, you know, is the New York Composite signaling, you know, something to come for the rest of the market? And so far, it is. You know, it's up 4 days in a row, whereas the other indices weren't doing that. Now, here's the Russell 2000. It's just up 1 day above the 10. And again, it's right in the middle of this congestion. I mean, you can just draw a circle around this. So I do think the jury's a little bit still out on this. It's trying to, let's do the trend line in here. Let's go across here. It's trying to break out to the high side, and it has on the S&P 500. Let me pick the other one. Yeah, you look at that. The Nasdaq, New York Composite. Of course, the New York Composite, it did that before. Break down like this. So, you know, we didn't get any follow through when it broke down here. You know, broke here, didn't get any follow through. Now we're starting to get the follow through to the upside. So it's like the market is saying, no, I really didn't want to go to the downside. I really wanted to go back up here. So we'll see whether or not it's a fake out, but right now I'm starting to lean more to the high side is the way I'm feeling. Short-term trading index starting to get, you know, this is coming down, but again, it's not at an extreme reading. You know, we're getting several bullish readings, but, you know, you're going to get that with the market moving to the high side the way it is. Volatility index is collapsing and coming back down, and I think it broke below this low, 1644. Yeah, oh yeah, it did. And you know, it just looks like it's breaking down, so that's not anything. And then this, the high-low index looks like it's making a little bit of a breakout to the upside. You know, when you look at that, you know, it's that kind of a look to it. 250 more new highs than new lows. So the market's going to do what the market's going to do, and all we can do is just try to, you know, keep reading the pulse of it. I mean, if you think it ought to go down and it doesn't, well, you know, you have to kind of play it to the upside. I mean, there's not a whole lot more you can do. All right, I want to go in and look at, let's see. Let's take a look at Russia. I thought I had this up here. Yeah, I did. The Russia index, the RTSI. Okay, this has bounced back up over the last week. It's kind of like a little bit of a counter trend rally going on, and it almost looks like, now that I look at this, it almost looks like a little bit of a pennant type of action of some kind. I don't know. It's hard to say what it might be. You know, you're getting this flagpole, kind of a little bit of a pennant consolidation. You're getting a breakout again, and it might be equal to this distance to the high side, but it looks like it's trying to rally. The next one is the German DAX. Actually, it's the one I usually go to. Now, see, Germany had this big symmetrical triangle, and now it broke out of the symmetrical triangle, pulled back down to the middle on that intraday day, and that was, I think this was the day with the Swiss franc fiasco, okay, the whole thing, and that was on the 15th, and then it rallied and closed up here, and here it is going. And now here's a projection of a move coming off of this symmetrical triangle, so we'll see if it continues to move to the high side like that. But right now Germany's saying get on the northbound train. Okay, the next one we're going to take a look at is India. India has turned higher here too, but again, I am a little skeptical here on India, just the way the wave structure is looking to me. I'm still wondering whether this isn't like an A, B, and then we get a C as a part of a fourth wave consolidation. I'm just not sure that this is all of fourth intermediate wave, and that's all there is to it. So, well, you know, one of the ways to look at that, let me look at this for real quick, real time. That's not going to work out. I was going to do what you do is you go from the top of 1 to, say, the top of 3, and then you do it parallel. And a lot of times what you have to do is you have to check both semi-log and arithmetic. So theoretically, you know, what I'd be looking for is a fourth wave to come down to this trend line here, parallel to the one in the top of 1 and the top of 3. Now, you know, if we take a look at this, so we're going to do a little real-time action. If we take a look at this on arithmetic, of course, when you do that, you mess up your, you know, you can't have that. What it does is it draws trend lines that are designed for whatever scale that you're using, so I have to redo that. So if I go to the top of 3 and I create another parallel line in here, and I look to see, okay, is one of these fitting better than the other? So this, you can see how this dropped out of this. It's not great parallel action. So I need to spend a little more time looking at that. But the bottom line is just looking at the wave structure and what we got in here. I'm thinking that because, see how this intermediate wave 2 was kind of a zigzag to the downside. It really wasn't a flat. It didn't pull all the way back up to the top of here or higher. Well, that's what this is doing here in an ABC type mode. Okay, this has come down and now it's doing a little bit of an A, B, C rally, and that's why I'm thinking this might be getting ready to turn back down. So don't have any insight into the hourly on this particular chart, so we'll see how this turns out. Let's take a look at Shanghai. I think the Shanghai composite, it has done a little three-wave initial move down. And so if that's the case, if this is three-wave, let's call it A, then I expect this B to come back up at least to the top up here. So I don't know. We'll see what happens as in terms of the action. But I think we're starting to get into this overlapping, chopping, corrective action. I don't know. I don't think this simple little ABC is enough, given the move that we've had in here. But we will watch and see. It's been pretty big healthy move on the part of Shanghai Composite. All right, now we're going to take a look, start off taking a look at solar stocks tonight, and we're going to take a look at the solar ETF, Guggenheim Solar ETF TAN, T-A-N. All right, this thing looks like it's starting to break down, but it's been in corrective mode since when? Beginning of March 2014, so almost a year of corrective mode to the downside, as have a lot of the solar stocks. So I do think we had 5 waves up here. We had this trend line. It broke the trend line. And so now it's kind of gone sideways, pulling down a little bit. The real question is the correction about over, or are we going to continue trending to the downside? A couple of things I'm going to point out. All right, number one, I do think this is some kind of like A, B, C, or W, X, Y, okay? And a lot of times I call it a WXY because a W might contain an entire corrective mode, like an ABC, zigzag, or flat. It would be a zigzag in this case. And then you get a connecting wave in here, and then you get another wave to the downside. Here's a trend line that if it broke that to the upside, it would be an indication that it's trying to get to the high side. There is divergence going on, and you'll see this in a lot of the solar stocks. There is divergence showing up. But there's been divergence showing up in a lot of the move to the downside, and it kept moving to the downside. Now, this trend line up here, to me, contains all of the corrective action. Okay, so when you break this trend line, I think that's a signal that a new impulse move is truly underway. Okay, now the thing to remember about a first move and getting going, let's go back to the beginning of the big move back in November 2012. Here was 5 waves up. Okay, so great. Wow, I get the new first wave impulsive move to the high side. Well, you're going to get wave 2 corrective pullback. Okay, so this kind of tells you got above this inflection point here. That tells you that maybe there's a good chance that a new impulsive 5-wave move is about to get underway. Well, just be ready for the corrective mode down in here, and look for 50 to 61.8% pullback. So trying to come in and grab this move gets very difficult when you've been trending down and trending down, trending down. Once this move happens, especially after you see, a trend line break, and then you come in and you look at the bottom and you look at the top and you see, oh wow, it pulled back a little over 61.8%. Typical deep retracement. Let me look to see, is it start to turn and I get on board now? Okay, so that's the kind of stuff we're going to need to be looking for down over here. Do we start some kind of move now? Unless you're willing to gamble and say, okay, wow, I want to jump in right now. I'll sit for 10 years or 5 years or whatever. That's fine. I mean, it all depends on your time horizon and what you're trying to achieve. Are you playing options? Are you buying the stock? What are you doing? That makes a big difference in what your time horizon is. But right now, I'd have to say that this thing just looks like it still wants to just trend to the downside. Okay, it's not really showing that it's ready to stop. So let's go ahead and take a look at 3 solar stocks tonight. Maybe we'll look at another 3 next week. But start off here with First Solar. And again, these all kind of mirror the TAN to a certain degree. Now, First Solar does look like it's had 5 waves up here, and it looked like this 5th wave is maybe a final wedge type of diagonal, ending diagonal, and it, the bullishness kept hugging the trend line back up in here before it rolled over. And then it finally did that, and it's been trending down. Now, again, when you look at the divergence, you're seeing divergence at least on the RSI and on the DI minus, the demand index, the same thing. You're seeing divergence, but it really hasn't turned. I mean, you don't have the moving averages crossed, hasn't really, hasn't started a move to the high side, and it might be about ready to do that. I don't have any other projection based on that, but you know, you got to say it's still in a pretty solid downtrend. I mean, look at this 55-day moving average, how it's just hard down. Okay, now you are getting, in terms of a distance from the 233, you're getting pretty deep. Okay, and a lot of times when you get a lot of air, you know, there's a, you know, kind of the reversion to the mean. So, you know, we have to keep watching this. There may be a nice setup play, but you got to recognize it's counter trend. The next one, SolarCity. SolarCity, again, doing a similar type thing. I think we had a first move up. I think we had 5 waves up. Now I think we're doing a WXY type of corrective action. This hasn't broken down like I really expected it to in terms of the very end of it. Look at this chopping sideways. Whenever you have overlapping waves, you are in corrective action. You are not in an impulsive move to the upside or downside. You're doing some kind of corrective wave. And that's what's happening here. Here's again the, you know, kind of the trend line that contains the corrective action, and I looked at this and said, well, okay, well, maybe let me go to the top. Maybe if you measure out W and you go up here to X, well, where would Y equal W? Down here, so around 30, almost 37. That's why I was waiting for this thing to kind of break on down and come down into this area and potentially complete you know, the corrective action, if that's what we're doing. And it seems like that's what it is to me. And then the last one we're going to take a look at tonight is Canadian Solar. Canadian Solar. This is kind of interesting. Similar type thing to, I mean, look at this. I mean, I just got done looking at you know, SolarCity, you know, primary wave up, 5 waves. Let me just get back out of that. And, you know, I think we had 5 waves up, and now we're in this corrective mode. I do think it's this kind of A, B, C, and, you know, an X complex corrective action that's been going on since, again, when? You know, January 2014, a year, okay? Now, this hasn't gone very deep, all right? So it's just one of those sideways type things. Now, the one thing, you know, the 55 breaking below the 233, you know, it started to do it here, but kind of flattened out. The 233 was still rising, but now it's rolling over a little bit more. So we may have more to the downside here, and we'll just have to watch. Again, if I do a measurement from, let's say it is from the beginning of W to the end of W to the end of X, it's actually where right now where it is where Y would equal X in terms of the points, you know, the dollar value of the distance. Okay, they are equal at this point, so it is potential. Let's take a look at the that we could get a turning point in here, but look, see, we're not seeing divergence. You know, we got a little bit of divergence in here between these 2 points, and then it broke down again, and we're not showing it between like here, or here to here. It's close, but I don't know. Now you are seeing a little bit more here on the DI minus in terms of the divergence. Not too solid. You got a potential, this type of move, let me blow it up. You know, this actually looks like a possible little W forming, you know, and I know that's kind of a reach, but you see this W top forming, or M top. This could be like an M top. If we get a down move, this is going to look like an M, okay? And a down move on a DI minus means that the stock moved to the high side. So, you know, it's kind of a flattening little W bottom in here that might form if we get a move to the high side. So this could be interesting to start watching, but again, you got to say the trends, both short, intermediate, and long term, are to the downside still, but it may be getting ready to turn, maybe getting close on Canadian Solar. All right, that's the look of those 3 for tonight. Kind of long video, so wanted to take a look at that, and we'll kind of, let's see, tomorrow is Friday. We'll be back on Saturday with the weekend edition of the market update. Everyone have a great Friday. That's it for the video tonight. If you felt like it was helpful, please share it And if you are not a subscriber, just click on the little red box on the screen and subscribe. Remember, stay focused, follow your plan, and trade without fear. Have a great Friday, everyone.